Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get life-changing careers in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And this week, I'm talking with my very special guest, Roocha, who was working as a civil engineer and wanted a more fulfilling and flexible career. Took my course and at age 24, got her first entry-level job, making about 47K in digital marketing, a remote job. So I'm very excited to share her story with you. Thanks for being here, Roocha.
Thanks for having me, Seth. Excited to be here.
Awesome. So why don't you tell people a little bit about your current job?
So I'm currently working remote from Tennessee for a company in LA, and I work as a paid media associate. It's kind of between, an intern and a specialist level job. They just opened up this new role, and I'm, getting to learn all the different ad platforms and getting to be trained with all of their professionals.
That's fantastic. And did you have any previous experience in digital marketing before you got this job?
Absolutely none. All through your course.
That's great. And what was I going to say? So, and do you like this job? What's it like compared to what you were doing before? We'll get into that in a second.
I really enjoy what I'm doing. What I really like about digital marketing is being able to grow businesses from online. And your course has such a good introduction as to, all the different aspects of digital marketing. And paid media is something that, resided with me the most. It has like a really good combination of creative and technical work. For my client load right now, I'm still in training mode, and I'm shadowing in on the client calls. We handle on like the low end, like a budget of 30K a month. And one of the higher spending client is 1 million a month. And it's really good to have the mentorship and, the support from everyone at work, helping me grow into this role.
That's amazing. And that's what I keep hearing again and again is that not only did you get a good paying job with no previous experience, but you're also being trained and supported and handling these huge budgets that are going to help you land your next job or get a raise very soon down the road. So why don't you tell people a little bit about what you were doing before this?
So previously, I was working as a civil engineer, designing plans for construction and literally designing sidewalks for New York City. And it's cool to understand, what goes behind it, but I didn't see myself doing that long term. And I think in school, I definitely enjoyed the fundamentals that I was learning, but when put into practical settings, I just don't think I saw myself doing that long term. I stumbled upon your course through Matt's channel, and I saw a lot of these testimonials, and I was still kind of iffy, trying to understand, hey, is this something that I really want to get into? But I think through watching a lot of these testimonials, the success stories of your students, it really convinced me that, this is a course that I really want to get. And there are a lot of courses out there. I even checked in, with some of the colleges, and the prices that they said, they quoted me was 14, 15K for just little minimum things. And then from your course, you just get a very good breakdown of all the fundamentals that you need for digital marketing to really succeed for an entry-level job. So I really like that. And not only do you provide us the material, but there is a good support system in place as well. And even recently, on your Facebook group, you've been having all these coaching calls, which have been really, really important for some of us to ask the essential questions that we want to get and get direct feedback from you on resume, on cover letter, all of that. So that support system is really essential, I feel, to my success.
That's great. You kind of you covered all my questions really with that. I'm really happy. I knew you took a lot of action up front, and I knew you were going to have success, and I'm glad you reached out for the help, because that's what you guys gotta participate to get the results. What was I going to say? And then just to give people context, how old are you, and when did you graduate college?
I'm 24 right now. I graduated in 2019. I worked at an engineering firm for a year. And then it took about, 7 months from me quitting to me finding your course and discovering, everything that I wanted to do and putting that, lessons into practical setting, 7 months to like land the job. And during that time, not only did I learn about digital marketing, but I got to run paid campaigns as part of building my portfolio. I took on a salon client, help them increase their social media presence, run their paid campaigns, built out their website. And I was able to double their revenue from like pre-pandemic numbers, which was really amazing to see that the work that I'm doing is having such a huge impact. And especially during COVID, when these small businesses were, struggling, it was really good to make that sort of an impact on a business.
That's amazing. I didn't even know that. I don't think you told me that, but I knew you were getting clients and stuff, but I'm really happy to hear you were able to make a difference. That's one of the things people find, we talk a lot about dollars and cents and earnings, but there's a couple points I wanted to speak to. And I'll come back to this. First of all, just to clarify to people, when did you quit your job in civil engineering?
End of August of 2020.
Okay. And then you bought the course in October, but you didn't really amp up and start generating experience until like what, January, did you say?
Yeah, it was like mid-December that I started to take on the salon client, and I was still going through the course at that point. Like I was still learning, like when you want a paid campaign, like you want to do remarketing, like email marketing. So I told them early on, like, hey, like I'm still going through the course, like, but I can take you on and implement as much as I know. And they were like, you know what, anything, like, it's just, let's start hopping into things and get it going.
That sounds like a good client, but that's how it is with these small businesses. They want someone who speaks plainly to them and can help them navigate these things. But when did you actually start applying for jobs?
End of January. I got like LinkedIn Premium, and like I set up all these alerts to kind of just be on the know. And like you've been saying a lot, like there are so many jobs out there. Like I didn't feel like, oh my God, I didn't have enough options. I was kind of overwhelmed with the amount of choices that I had. And it was honestly just being very strategic and understanding what it is that you want as a professional, what kind of industry you want to be in, and what kind of role you want to pursue. So definitely a lot out there to pick from.
And so you started applying late January. When did you get this job? And we'll go through the interview in a moment, but when did you actually get hired?
Sure. So I applied around 30 jobs. I, like you said, don't mass apply. So I couldn't do that. I really wanted to tailor all of my resume, my cover letter, all of that. I got this job end of March, and I started just beginning of April. So yeah.
That's great. I mean, a couple of months, that's, again, you don't hear those types of results with a lot of other skill sets or people who are just coming out of college, they just have no idea. I wanted to get more people. I know they always want to know about the interview process, and again, getting hired with no experience and what people think. Before I do that, because you mentioned this, I wanted to touch on something. You said you were making some decent money as a civil engineer. How much were you making?
60K.
60. Now how much are you making?
47K.
47K, which for 24 years old is still really, really great as an entry-level job. And again, you'll be up to 60 or higher within a year. But which job do you enjoy more?
Without a doubt, my paid media role. Like I really enjoy the people that I'm working with. I got onboarded remotely. Everyone's really great, very supportive. And the work I'm doing, I genuinely find really exciting. Like, it's just like, okay, well, I want to take on more and more so I can be more in the field. So it's just staying curious, asking questions, and just diving deeper into the role. So I'm much, much happier with this job.
Yeah, guys, it's a huge, important thing. We get really fixated on numbers. A lot of us, and it's great to make more money. But I mean, a lot of people get pushed into these fields like engineering or law because they, the society, you say, oh, you can make more money, it's secure. But if you can't stand, you've heard me interview so many engineers, and I know there's some people that would love their engineering jobs, but not everybody. And the people, you've heard it again and again, the people who come over from engineering or some of these other fields are like so much just, it's just an exciting job because what you were saying before, you get to see the impact that you make almost immediately. And I think for a lot of us, I had the same experience because I had only done like office jobs or waited tables. And it's like, I mean, yeah, I guess you get a little bit happy if you make a family that you're their server and they like your service. Yay. But
Yeah.
there's a big difference between that and actually like helping a small business bring in more customers. It's like very impactful. So I thought I'd speak to that just quickly because I know we do tend to focus on the dollars and cents, but I know people also are looking for fulfillment and something interesting and the problem solving. And that's, it sounds like you really enjoy it. So let's go back to the interview. Cause again, that's what people are always interested in. So you spent like 1 or 2 months applying. I remember you did get some interviews and obviously some panned out, some didn't. How did this one work out? What was it like for you?
Yeah. I can tell you like just short, like quickly, I did like 4 other interviews and a lot of the places like, they do want an entry level role, but I guess sometimes they find maybe someone more qualified and it's just not something that I had to keep telling myself not to get upset over because there are other jobs out there that are maybe, looking for someone like me. So with my current agency, I did it was one of the first ones I applied to actually very early on, but they had just like gotten back to me a little later. So it was a one-way interview, just answered a few questions. And then I spoke with the hiring manager and someone from their team. And really, I mean, they really touched on who I was as a person. They just wanted to see if I was like a good fit for their company, for their team. And they were really impressed by the fact that, I had this like kind of fundamental knowledge and I was able to put it into practice. And the kind of like generate your own experience that you walk us through was all that I was able to speak to. And like you said, like getting into that mindset and like speaking the language is what they really like because they know like, what, this person has done X, Y, and Z, and they can speak to those metrics. So that's something that I guess set me apart.
Yeah. I mean, and I love hearing this and it's still true today. And by the way, do you know Eric?
Yeah.
Did you meet Eric over there?
Yeah. So my final interview was with Eric and got his blessings and then got the job.
So this is what's so interesting. First of all, she's working at a company called Single Grain, which by the way, guys, this is a big company. And as you heard her say, I mean, you're talking about $30,000 a month, $1 million a month clients that you're getting to shadow 1 month into your job. That speaks to your own abilities. It speaks to the demand for people, who have this skill set. But I just think it's also funny because I've had other students work at that agency in the past. In fact, there's a student of mine named Justice who I interviewed a while back who was working there. And actually, Eric is one of the first guys that kind of set me on my path to making this course because
Oh, wow.
this was in 2015 or 2016 or 2014. I can't even remember the age of time, but I actually was working at a job. I had actually been poached. I had moved from one high paying job to another and I was working in the office. And I remember I got an interview with him and I don't think, so it was for like a senior position and with actually more experience than I had at the time. But what I remember is he just said, oh yeah, this job's remote. And I blew my mind. 2014. I was like, the pay was like $75,000 a year. And he's like, yeah, it's a remote job. And I was like, what? I was like, that exists?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I got to re-examine how I approach everything. Cause I was like, dude, I want one of these jobs, or it eventually led me to wanting to be more of an entrepreneur and, make the course. But they've been around for a long time. So I just think it was really cool to hear that you got hired by them. Cause, I think Eric was my first interview.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was like one of the last people that I got to speak to. So it's definitely an interesting experience, to say the least.
Yeah, and it speaks to the demand too, because at that time, and also I had my agency experience and in-house experience, but they wanted someone who had for that job was like multiple 6-figure experience, or 7-figure accounts. It was more than I had at the time. But the fact that they're still going strong and now they're hiring you guys or you, and they're hiring more people, right?
Yeah, they are. And they know your course. Like from, what I was taught there, I was able to speak to your course and they're like, oh, you're from Seth's course. I'm like, yeah. So they definitely, have your course in mind.
I want you to, after we get off the call, I wanted you to tell me who asked you, who knew about my course so I can talk to them directly. Because again, I haven't talked to Eric in a long time.
Okay.
And I'm excited about this because I've started to connect with more of these agencies directly, because you can see in the Facebook group, people are reaching out to me. And honestly, the reason is I could be a recruiter at this point and make a lot of money because recruiters get paid a percentage of your first year salary. But that's why these agencies like me, because I'm like, hey, here's some great talent for free. You don't have to pay a recruiter $15,000 for this person. So they're like, oh, we like your course.
Yeah. And I told my manager, I'm like, we can definitely put a link because they're hiring. There were supposed to be 2 paid media associate roles. So I filled one of them and they're still looking for another one. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to post it in the Facebook group chat that we have with Seth's course. And he's like, yeah, totally go for it. It's because your course really has all the fundamentals that you need to get started in this field.
That's awesome. And I love that community aspect. Yeah. You emailed me about it and hopefully you get some other applicants. But also, I mean, what you said, like cultural fit and just having that enthusiasm when you're talking to them makes such a huge difference, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think, really portraying that you're into what you're doing, you're really excited about what you're doing in your field definitely speaks volumes. And I've started to learn this more because I guess I wasn't in a place where I really enjoyed what I was doing. But now it's just like, I know what it's like to ask questions. Like, it's like, I'm genuinely curious about like, oh, if we do this sort of strategy for this campaign, what's going to happen? And just having that element of curiosity and being able to ask like the right questions really does, I guess, set you apart.
It's really great if you're in a team environment. I'll tell you, when you guys come in, I know you guys watching this, you don't have the experience, but I'm telling you, having that curiosity and that foundational knowledge is so valuable. Because it's like, I've supervised people, I've worked on teams. If you have a person that's, your junior and they're not engaging with you, it's terrible. It's like being a teacher who has a student who's just shut up. It's like, hey, class, you got any questions? And they're just like, no, everything's cool. But if the person's like, well, I want to know more about this, and I want to know more about this, I want to know more about this, it's good. It's good to ask questions.
Yeah. And even while taking your course, like jumping into listening to different podcasts, getting different strategies that people are talking about, or like looking at blogs, staying active on LinkedIn, all those things that you said, like they really help you grow like holistically rather than just like, just through the course. And you just have like a pulse in the industry about different markets and all of that. And that's really, really good to have.
Absolutely. How has this affected you personally with your family or just your quality of life since you got this job? What's it been like?
It's been really nice. So I kind of wanted a remote job. Starting out, I didn't know that this role was going to be remote. I was ready to go to LA, but then I found out that this role was going to be completely remote. And I've been honestly, just last week, I was in the Great Smoky Mountains for a whole week with my friends, and like
You where?
we were all Great Smoky Mountains.
Oh wow, where's that?
In Tennessee.
Oh, it's in Tennessee. I should know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then we were all just working out of a cabin during the day, and the evening go down to like, Gatlinburg, and just I'm looking forward to even like the summer because I have some plans, of meeting my friends in New York and in Florida. So I like that sort of flexibility that I have. And right now they're getting me, kind of onboarded with all the different clients and things I have to do. But once I'm a little bit more independent, they're like, you could just work whenever you want, like as long as you just get your stuff done, like that level of trust is there. That's really nice.
It's so great, guys. It's so great having that trust and that maturity. You're treated like an adult. They're not like, I had to ask my supervisor to go take a pee. you know, that kind of thing. You got to send me some pictures and videos when you're traveling and working. We'll share
Yeah,
those. I would love to see if you have any from the being up in the cabin and doing your job. That's great.
I'll send you them.
Yeah. Um, awesome. Well, and yeah, and you just started this job, so we'll definitely circle back with you in like 6 months or a year. And you know, I love to do follow-ups because you're going to be, you know, managing these accounts on your own, growing, getting recruiters are going to be hitting you up.
There is no doubt about, if you put in the hard work and you follow the things that Sucks tells you, I can almost guarantee that you're going to get what you want. Just work hard, have your heart in the right place. And I believe that, universe will reward you with good things. And a lot of it, even people in the course, I think it's all about taking action. There's a lot that you can do with just like learning and studying material, but when you start taking action, put it into, a practical setting, there's greater rewards to be had.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Roocha. Thank you for sharing your story. It was really great to talk with you. Yeah, and we will definitely follow up with you.
Thanks for everything, Seth.